On this week's Waste of the Week, Medicaid is overspending, costing taxpayers $16 billion a month. And the State Department spent $275,000 for a video game to, quote, counter disinformation. Joining us for the details this morning is founder of OpenTheBooks.com, Adam Andrzejewski. Good morning to you, Adam. Welcome back to the National Desk. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, Jan.
So we are now 3 years into this pandemic, and President Biden announced plans to extend the federal public health emergency into the new year, leaving in place this Medicaid policy that was supposed to be temporary. It's now costing taxpayers, as I mentioned, $16 billion a month. Tell us about this policy and how it's progressed through the course of this pandemic.
So in March of 2020, at the height of the pandemic, Congress threw extra money into Medicaid on the promise that states had to cover everybody, regardless of income. And this could have, you can take that as good policy during the pandemic. People needed health care coverage. Fast forward to today, there are 21 million people, Jan, on this program costing taxpayers who make too much money. They don't qualify for the program. 21 million people, they are costing an extra $16 billion a month. That's a $200 annualized cost to this program. That's massive. And now we find out that the Biden administration wants to codify this practice with an administrative rule and mandate it on the states. And the states only have a limited amount of time to opt out of the program, or this extra coverage, this extra $200 billion will be codified through an administrative rule of the Biden administration.
So let's talk bigger picture here, because you say what's essentially happening here is frightening because the administration trying to keep the number of ineligible people on Medicaid is just a step closer to socialized medicine. How so?
Well, they're going to handcuff the states. So if you have to take people that make too much money to qualify for the program, and if you handcuff the states, this is just another step for Medicaid for all. For instance, the mandate would prevent states from doing in-person interviews. That's where they weed out a lot of people that don't need the coverage. It would also make it so that if you're going to take somebody off of the rolls of Medicaid, that you have to go out there and essentially be their insurance healthcare navigator. You've got to find them other coverage before you kick them off. That would add, according to the Wall Street Journal, another $100 billion of cost to the Medicaid program at the state level within the states that are already strapped.
Yeah, and this is all the while on the taxpayers' dime right here. The U.S. Department of State paid $275,000 to fund a video game, you say, that aimed to counter disinformation for teenagers, essentially, right? Secretary of State Antony Blinken has made some global efforts to promote it. So what are we talking about here? What game is this, and how did Secretary Blinken promote it?
Well, the administrative state, they don't like challenges, especially from you, the pesky citizen. They've actually rolled out a game funded by taxpayers to the tune of nearly $300,000. And Jan, they're going to put a marketing firm behind this quote unquote game to promote it. It's a game that's, they say, essentially designed to educate people on how to spot disinformation. But when you quote unquote play the game, nearly every scene is the promotion. It's pro-establishment. It's pro-government. And, it essentially teaches the message that if you stand up to government, you are promoting disinformation.
Wow. Yeah, they're even hoping to implement the game, I read here, into the curriculums of local schools. And according to the Foundation for Freedom Online, they're saying that the game aspires to create, quote, psychological vaccination against fake news. How does it do that?
Well, first off, whether it's in the schools or promoted through our embassies or promoted through this marketing firm, it's basically big government putting its thumb on the marketplace of ideas. And look, America's a unique nation. In America, our rights come from God. They don't come from government. We instituted a government to secure our rights, and it's driven by the people, by individual rights. I mean, it's a cherished celebration in this country that a person can speak truth to power, that people can take on the powerful and win. And some of the greatest, whether it's civil rights victories or public policy changes in the country, have come that way. This game promotes the opposite message.
Wow. I like what you said, liberty and the right to pursue happiness, right?
That's right.
Happy Friday, founder and CEO of OpenTheBooks.com, Adam Andrzejewski. Always great to talk to you and look at your investigations. We appreciate you joining us this morning.